when my family was murdered in front of me. I made myself into a weapon of single-minded destruction. I needed revenge and I took it. But look at me now.
Frank Castle was a man molded by tragedy. Forged by his burning desire for violent retribution, he took up arms against the criminals of New York City. His exploits earned him the nickname, the Punisher. But what if this former war hero and brutal vigilante was a trained force sensitive in the Star Wars universe? Would he identify as a Jedi, a Sith, or maybe somewhere between?
Welcome to what I hope is the first of many new videos in a series where we examine the personality and traits of non-Star Wars characters, and try to figure out what force alignment they would best fit the role of. As a side note, while this video and any predecessors are called Jedi or Sith, we will of course be acknowledging different archetypes of force wielders, such as the varieties of Grey Jedi and even the Dark Jedi. We should also note that we'll be mixing the various continuities for both franchises. Lastly, joining me today is fellow Star Wars and Marvel lover SciFi Soup. Now let's get started. First, let's look at how the Punisher operates. After his family was killed, Frank Castle became a vigilante filled with vengeance. He follows a very black and white moral code, that being all who commit crime should die. The only lives he is concerned with preserving are those of civilians and fellow crime fighters. That said, he also tends to work alone. As a combatant, Frank Castle is very aggressive. Once he has acquired his target, he won't cease to fight until either he or his target is dead.
Despite his unwillingness to kill other crime fighters, he does have some sort of disregard for them, as he will often resort to extreme methods to remove them from his path, if they should come into conflict with him for whatever reason. Have a listen to his dialogue with Tony Stark during the Iron Man Rise of Technovore movie, when they were being chased by Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Arrows? Really?
Don't do it, Frank. They're just following orders.
Don't worry, I'm not trying to kill them. They don't need their kneecaps to breathe.
With all that being said, let's take a look at the philosophies and requirements for what might make Frank Castle fit under a certain alignment, and try to determine which would best suit the vengeful vigilante.
The role of a Jedi Knight is to maintain peace and order, preserving life whenever they can, as it is considered precious. This is something that a true Jedi works towards accomplishing, peace and tranquility, while preventing disturbances where possible through negotiation. The only lives of which the Punisher tries to preserve being those of the innocent, he also has zero interest in negotiating with anyone. This goes outside of what a Jedi stands for, and as such, would not be well suited to someone like Frank Castle.
However, there are members of the Order, other factions, or even rogue force wielders who tend to bend the rules. These are often referred to as Grey Jedi. The three main varieties are those who remain members of the Order, but often butt heads with the Council members and rely more on their own intuition rather than the wisdom of the Council themselves. There are those who pull a portion of their power from the dark side of the Force, and there are those who do not belong to the Jedi for a number of different reasons, but remain outside of the dark side. Frank doesn't really commit to any sort of order, instead prefers to work alone, and his black and white philosophy of criminals deserving nothing but death makes it unlikely for him to be a member of the Order. So if he were to be a Grey Jedi, he'd likely fall into one of these other two archetypes. His brutal combative approach may translate to him pulling a fraction of his power from the dark side of the Force.
A Dark Jedi is someone who identifies with the dark side of the Force, but doesn't follow any sort of philosophy or cultural code. This seems like something that would fit the Punisher very well. He has even encouraged the use of one's hate to be used as a weapon in battle before, a staple of Darksiders in general. In addition, he only has one singular goal: destroy crime wherever he may find it, and he doesn't need any sort of rules beyond preserving lives of civilians.
The Sith are the ancient enemy of the Jedi, and follow their own code and philosophy of life. They are often concerned with things such as domination and obtaining power. While the dark side is something that we can see the Punisher making use of, he has no interest in making enemies of the heroes in his own world, and likely wouldn't see any benefit in making enemies with the Jedi. Furthermore, he doesn't really degrade himself into the point where he thinks himself higher than anyone, and often acknowledges himself for what he truly is. And again, he doesn't really commit to any sort of code or philosophy. Considering his brutal black and white philosophy of all who commit crime must die, we think that the archetype of being a Jedi dedicated to the light side and a member of the Order is just too unlikely, and the same could be said for the Sith, as the requirements just don't fit the Punisher's goals.
As for the archetypes that are left, the Punisher's willingness to make use of things such as hate and his brutal approach to dealing with crime leads us to believe that he would in fact make use of the dark side. However, given his intense mental discipline that he has retained over the years, we don't think he would be fully consumed by the dark side, and instead tame whatever aspects he made use of to his will.
Since he identifies as a lone wolf and a man with a strong inner darkness that he uses as a weapon, and the likelihood of him making use of some aspects of the dark side, combined with a strong hatred for those he so effortlessly slaughters, we believe that the Punisher would most likely be an extreme Grey Jedi who makes use of the dark side in tandem with his other skills, since he still holds onto some form of humanity in his attempts to preserve the lives of the innocents and other crime fighters he comes across.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this first episode of Jedi or Sith. If you guys would like to see more, then please make sure to let me know, as I would really love to do more, as these videos are fun to make and easy to do so too, as they are not overly long. Remember that this is based on myself and Soup's interpretation of both Marvel and Star Wars, so be sure to let us know what type of Force wielder you think the Punisher would be. Thanks as always for Soup for collaborating with me, and be sure to check the link to his channel in the description if you haven't already. And until next time, may the Force be with you.